Hi, everybody. It is so great to be back with you all. And I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving and that you didn't get too flared. But in case you did, that's what we're going to be talking about today is what to do if you're going out for holiday events and you're getting hit by fragrances. You're really just can't say no to that sip of wine. Um, you're getting exposed. What if you're getting exposed to mold or EMFs at friends and family members' houses? What can you do to take care of yourself? So that's what this Facebook Live is all about today. You can see I've got a new background here. I'm trying something new. So I'm trying one of our um, the Zoom background. So that's why you've got that little odd halo thing around my head. But again, it's really good to be with you guys. So if you're on, if you could post in for me your name and where you're from. I'd love to see who's on with us. I've really missed you all last week. And as we're running or starting out here, I'd love to know how many people ended up feeling sick after Thanksgiving, or do you, if you're not in the U.S. and you don't celebrate Thanksgiving when we do you tend to feel sick after the holidays because of mold exposure, or it could be because of perfume exposure or things like that? Tell me what's happening for you guys, and that way we can address it. We're going to do some Q&A today about flares and how do you take care of yourself, because we've got more holidays coming up. Taylor here said, oh, the fragrance assaults. I know. Isn't that the one that tends to get all of us? I had a mold exposure. And so fortunately, I knew how to take care of my body, and I'm doing okay. But some mold got me, and the fragrances get me always. I did pretty well with foods, but I'm tolerating so many more foods than I used to. But used to, gosh, I had to be so strict and bring my own food for the holidays. So I'm just wondering about you guys. Does anybody get hit by anything over the holidays? Did anything affect you? Betsy's saying here that her daughter was sick from mold exposure. Oh, and a sad breakup. I'm so sorry, Betsy. Yeah, that's hard. And then Kenzie said fragrance and mold. And Deborah, family stress can bring on a flare and negative looping. That's right. And so, some of us are very blessed to have families that are fun to be around and relaxing, and we feel really accepted and seen. But many people don't have that experience. And so there's a reason that there's so many jokes about Thanksgiving over the holidays. And I saw a joke going around Facebook that said, how to ruin Thanksgiving dinner in 3 words. And somebody posted, bring up politics and these types of things. So that stress, as we know, is such a huge trigger as well. So any other stressors that affected you guys over the holidays, and that we've got to consider coming up with this, this another round of holidays, regardless of how we celebrate. So Carmel said caught COVID. Oh, I'm sorry, Carmel. I know, isn't that the worst right there when you want to be eating good food and be in good company and you're sick? I hope you're feeling better. Cheryl said the candles. Yeah, the candles and the plugins. Oh my gosh, those Glade plugins. They're the worst, aren't they? Let's see. And then Carol says fragrance, cooking smells, touch. Down to 7 foods. I was down to 10. Many people in our community are down to 2, Carol. So you're in good company here, and I'm glad you're with us. That's a toughie with that. When you have a nickel allergy and you're dependent on that implant in your body, you got to really regulate your immune system, and can make us so sensitive, can't it? Patricia says she brought all of her own food, and Danielle says food is a trigger. Well, let's jump into some things that we can do to take care of ourselves. And again, I'm so glad you guys are here. I missed you all last week, and it's lovely to be back with you. So let's talk about self-care. And I'd love for this to be kind of a community conversation, because I'm going to share things that I know work for me and that I see work really well in our clinic and in our community. But you guys always have ideas too that are so helpful. And I think if we can bring them all together, then that can just accentuate what we're doing here. We can support one another. Plus, we can be in community. And that's really what I want us to do with this Facebook group. So while people are sharing, I'm just wondering, what do you do for self-care, particularly when you're going into something that might trigger you, like going to a family member's home and there might be fragrance exposures. There might be those candles or those Glade plugins or things like that. What are you doing for self-care? How are you navigating and taking care of yourself? And a lot of times we jump into thinking about, and my mind first goes to, okay, what supplements can I take and all of that. But one of the top things that we can do is support our nervous system. And we talk a lot about that. And we talk about things like using some of the listening apps. Next week, we're going to be talking about a new app called Nerva that I'm loving and is now our app of choice for the listening apps for the nervous system. So I hope you guys can join me for that next week. And we talk about limbic retraining and things like that. But the other thing that's so huge that we're not talking about enough is a sense of safety and a sense of feeling safe emotionally, feeling safe physically, spiritually, mentally, safety. So we have to remember our mast cells are constantly monitoring. Am I safe? Am I safe? Am I safe? And guess what? Your nervous system's constantly monitoring. Am I safe? Am I safe? Am I safe? In all ways, external, internal, physical, mental, emotional, energetic, spiritual. And so the nervous system, the mast cells have a constant dialogue because remember, there's mast cells at every nerve ending lining every nerve sheath. So there's a continual crosstalk. And the conversation is, hey, from the mast cells, hey, nervous system, are we safe? Nervous system checks. No, there's a fragrance. There's a candle. I don't like where this conversation's going. I'm feeling anxious. Gosh, that was a racist remark. I feel really uncomfortable. I don't feel safe, or whatever it was. That was a sexist remark. Gosh, that was I didn't know my family member felt that way about whatever, politics, women, men, any of it, chronic illness. So there can be a lot of sense of unsafety. And this sense of safety is the foundation for calming our mast cells. So I want to say that again. Safety is the foundation. And that's why we really monitor the comments here. We monitor what gets posted. We monitor the comments on the website because I don't want scammers posting stuff that makes people feel unsafe. And we've had that. That's why everything that we put out is loving, is gentle, because we need that safety to feel, for our mast cells to be willing to calm down. And the nervous system also pings the mast cells and says, hey, am I safe? Are we safe? And the mast cells will say, I'm reacting to this food, or I'm reacting to whatever. And then when the mast cells send that signal back, guess what the nervous system does? Goes into what I think of as porcupine quill mode. Porcupine quills are up, and then our nervous system feels dysregulated. So we can enter into mast cell calming by stabilizing the mast cells directly, but also by calming the nervous system and creating a community for ourselves externally, as well as really monitoring our internal relationship with ourselves for safety. And when we are judged, we don't feel safe. When we feel not accepted, we don't feel safe. What feels the most safe to most human beings is being in a loving, accepting environment, and to just be held in that, we're all human and it's not possible to be perfect. And I don't know if there are any humans that can be unconditionally loving other than saints. But when we can have as much unconditional love as possible, we can release, we can let go, and our mast cells are going to be significantly better. And that unconditional love starts with ourselves. It starts with how we talk to ourselves, how we treat ourselves, how we take care of ourselves. And that's challenging. I know that that's harder for almost all of us on here than it sounds. And coming as somebody who had such intense internal criticism and judgment that I don't know that I've shared this on a Facebook Live, so I'm going to share it with you all today. I used to walk down the street when I was a teenager in my early 20s, and I judged myself so much that I projected that out. And I thought that everyone I passed, if I was in public, was staring at me with judgment and hatred. That's how harsh I was with myself. And I share that because it's, if I could go from that level of self-loathing to the level of gentleness and compassion and love that I have for myself, and it took a lot of work, and it's still a work in progress. If I could make that journey, I think most of us on here can make that journey too. So I just want to share that because a lot of people think that I just naturally am good at all these things, and I'm not. This has all been really hard earned, really a lot of dedication to my healing. And one of the things that I created that you guys probably know about, but I really want to share just in case there's anybody on here who hasn't seen it, because I just want everybody to have access to this. And I call it the Hugs with Words project. So I'm going to show you that just briefly here in case you've seen it. But if you haven't, you can just go to our website, masscell360.com. Type in Hugs with Words. And there's a little story in there that you can read. And then what I really created this for was to ask people to come down here and to share a little bit of love, a little bit of things like, this is from Patty, be easy on yourself. You're doing the best you can. Fran, I'm looking for all the positives this year. Karen, sending hugs and hope to all today. You're loved. And it just keeps going and just keeps going. And this has been going for 3 years. So there's a lot of comments in here. And even up to just a few days ago. And so please go in there. If you're having a hard day, Mary said, love Hugs with Words really helped on Thanksgiving. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. That's what this was for. So you guys bookmark this. So when you're having a hard time, go in there and read those comments. And then the other thing I found when I was in my darkest days was that if I could do something kind for someone else, it pulled me out of the darkness. If I could say to somebody, even when I had nothing else to give, if I could say, gosh, your hair looks pretty today, or, oh, that was such a nice thing. Thank you so much for saying that. Or, you know, you're just always bring light into my life. That would uplift me. And there's an energy that happens when we do that that is uplifting and healing. So leave a comment and read the comments when you're having a hard time. And this is a wonderful form of self-care. And it doesn't cost anything. It's free. It's completely free. You can go on here every day if you want and read the comments and post something kind back. So that's a resource for you guys. So I wanted to share that. I'm going to share a few other resources here today. So let's see what people are sharing in terms of what's working for them for self-care. And here Debbie says, you're so right about kindness makes you feel good to help someone else. It really does. There was a period of time where I couldn't work for almost a year. I was bedridden. And I could barely drag myself out of bed just to try to get something to eat and try to get a few dishes in the dishwasher. I couldn't even unload and load at the same time. And I felt like I had nothing to contribute to the world, that I was just mooching off the world, basically, was how it felt. And so I had to find something I could do to offer back. Because everything's about reciprocity. It's about the balance of energies between people, between us and the world, and all of that. And that's a little bigger topic than we'll get into today. But it is really healing, and it's very important that we maintain that reciprocity when someone does something that's really helpful to us, even if it's a smile, that we offer something back like a smile, that we're meeting that energy and not a black hole. And I say that from my own experience of feeling like a black hole and like nothing could ever help me feel better. But I found it was because I was looking outside of me to feel better. And when I started looking inside of me, that's when I was able to fill that black hole with love and light and a lot of practice. And it was very squirmy for a long time. So if you guys feel squirmy with those, you're not alone. All right, so let's get into some self-care ideas, and I'll share some of mine too. So here's Susan shared, I don't do holiday gatherings anymore. Too many odors, too much noise. Some places have wood fires, too much effort having to bring my own food. And that's an option. And I've picked that option before too. And sometimes that's the most loving thing we can do, isn't it? It can be really hard. Danielle shares a ceremonial grade matcha tea. And I love that that works for you. That I love matcha as well. It's such a warming drink and feels really special. For anybody that has histamine or oxalate intolerance, just a side note that it is high oxalate, high histamine. Doesn't mean it's off the table for everybody. It may work just fine, Danielle, and happy for you to share. I just always want to add these little caveats because we have some super sensitive people here. But do please keep these ideas coming. And if we can't tolerate matcha tea, we can also learn from Daniel here that maybe there's a different kind of tea. Tea drinking itself, and I love that it's ceremonial for you, Daniel. Tea drinking can have a meditative experience to it, where you can just hold the mug, sense the mug, and then inhale the aroma. And then as you go to drink it, really feel that fluid going down your throat. And we can make everyday life a meditation and help keep our nervous systems regulated in these ways. And so I love this, Danielle. Alicia says she's loving using Nerva. Yay! So I hope you can come on next week, Alicia, if you're available, and give us a little more of your experience with it when we're talking about Nerva. And we're going to interview someone from there that helped develop it. Okay, Mary, Primal Trust. I love that program, you guys. If you haven't checked that out, we've got a coupon code for you. And I'm not positive, but it's pretty likely we'll have a coupon code next week for Nerva as well. And so, I'm sorry, New Calm is what we're doing next week. Sorry. The words are a little similar. So next week is going to be, I'm double checking, New Calm, which is a listening app. Nerva is just to step back for a second, Nerva is a hypnosis app that is really nice as well. And then Primal Trust, Mary's doing yoga, Qigong, goes to the gym. Lovely, Mary. I do yoga and Qigong as well, and I find it really helps. Betsy asks hosts to blow out candles, unplug fragrances. They're always great about it. Yeah, and if somebody's not great about it, do you really want them in your life? That's kind of the question I've been asking myself. Do I really want someone in my life who, if I ask kindly and compassionately, doesn't want to support me? I don't really, honestly. I value my own health over other people's feelings, and that can sound self-centered, but I don't think it's self-centered. I think it's healthy self-love. There was a period in my life I would never have made that choice, never felt safe making that choice. But that's something I've grown into. And Betsy says, carry on food, but the emotions are harder to control. They really are, aren't they, Betsy? And I know for myself, when I'm really stressed, I can get dysregulated quickly. And so I find that these modalities like the primal, or the New Calm, and learning the tools in the Primal Trust are what allow me to stay better regulated and to catch those emotions before they become that runaway train. So I can stay on the platform and watch the train go by and just let it go. instead of getting on the train and then I'm on it and I'm out of the station. Let's see, Taylor took some quercetin, did nervous system work, and doing EFT. So EFT is emotional freedom technique. It's a tapping technique. It can be really helpful for some people. Now, some people, the tapping is too stimulating, and so you can just hold over the point as well. So if you're interested in EFT and you want to learn those super sensitive techniques, those are in the nervous system course that we developed, the Maslow Nervous System Reboot. Spreading the word and educating people, saying, get on board with us cool kids. I love that, Taylor. And Georgia wears a mask while shopping. Yeah, that's a great idea. And Vogue mask, V-O-G, Vogue mask makes a mask with a little filter. And I used that when I was going to a salon. She was happy to use my own shampoo and my own products and all of that. But every once in a while I would come in, they'd be doing nails, and that would just feel like I was going to pass out. So I started wearing that mask, and I keep it in my purse. So if there's an exposure, I can always just pull it out. And so that's a great tip, Georgia. Thank you. Susan said this Thanksgiving I was invited by an understanding friend to watch a movie at her place. Lovely. That's a lovely time. Sometimes we can just step out of tradition and do something that's enjoyable to us. And for many of us, the standard turkey, mashed potatoes, and green beans just may not appeal to us. I love that, Susan. Cami took a gentle yoga class for the first time in over a year. Beautiful. Trying to find a restorative class again. And I taught a lot of restorative yoga, Cami. It was so helpful for me. I'm really glad you're finding that. Patricia does a ritual before leaving the house. Take my supplements, ground, and breathe. Very nice. And then C. Ann, listening to calming affirmations, get massage, go to the gym. Mary looks for yin yoga, which is similar to restorative. That's right. And then Melissa says she used to be able to walk, stretch, or take a bath, but it all causes flares. So trying to find a new way. And what I like about this, Melissa, is that you're focusing on, okay, that's not working anymore. So what is going to work? What can I do next? And that ability to problem solve is one of the things that really makes a difference in terms of people healing, because things change a lot as we have MCAS, and sometimes things that we don't tolerate anymore. Sometimes we start tolerating things again. So we got to be willing also to shift back into things like higher histamine foods when it's time. Kinsey's asking about acupuncture as a form of self-care and calming mast cells. Acupuncture works well for people I found that don't have as much histamine intolerance or aren't super mast cell reactive. The needles are going to cause a little histamine release. And when I was at my worst, I would have lots of bruising, lots of redness, lots of itching and things like that. So that was my body telling me not a good time for acupuncture. But then I've come back to it, and now I do really well with it. And it's a wonderful calmer to my nervous system, and my acupuncture focuses on the nervous system. So I think there's just a timing, just like so many things for us in MCAS, and discernment, listening to our bodies. Okay, Alicia's doing belly breathing from the Nerva app. Taylor's getting into astrology and looking at that, and reading Cosmic Health. Nice. Great. I'm glad to hear that. And this is a community, Taylor. I don't know that it's out of our norm. I just think we don't talk about it too much. It may be out of some people's norms. This is a place where I really want to say, if it's working, it's working. And I occasionally will get intuitive astrology readings. I don't do horoscopes from the newspaper or anything like that. But there is certainly, at least in my opinion and my own experience, an impact. And some of us who are super sensitive feel when it's a full moon. We feel when planets go in retrograde, if we're really, really sensitive. And so if it works, Taylor, please do it. Alicia asks for a hug from someone safe. This is beautiful. So many ideas, you guys. This is amazing. I love this. See, Anne, close your eyes, deep breathing techniques while listening to calm music and affirmations. Helps when I have neuropathy and pain. sitting and lying down. And pain does respond really well to things like self-hypnosis and not usually the empty your mind meditations, at least that's not worked for me, but where I can focus my mind on something other than the pain can really work well. Melissa sends a heart. Belinda's drinking broth. And we have a low histamine meat broth, you guys, that can help with gut repair. So that's something you can look up on our website. Deborah, is green tea okay? Green tea is higher in oxalate. So if you have an oxalate issue and you really, really want something like that, what I learned from Yasmina Kellenstam, what she was doing was white tea and just doing like 2 dunks of the tea bag, and that was it. And that would be her white tea. But I mostly drank herbal tea till my gut was much more repaired. Now I'm very light on green tea, but I might do just a little. But if you're oxalate sensitive, you might hold on that until things are improved. Demi, I'm a trained meditation teacher. Meditate daily and maintain a positive mindset and see that this will pass. Yes. Let's see. Belinda's doing fascia movements. So many things. And Alicia says weighted blankets. I love my weighted blanket too. I sleep with one every night. I find it really soothing. When I had bad hypermobility, it hurt my joints. But as that got better, I could do it. All right, let's go through these last ones, and I'm going to share some of mine with you guys. Deborah does the relaxation breathing exercises on Buteyko Clinic. Calms her down, good for her nervous system. Carol does a gratitude journal, EMDR, and therapy. And I love the gratitude journal. And when I had just intractable insomnia for years, when I would lie down, I would start with the first letter of the alphabet and I'd find something A. I'm so grateful for, and if I was eating apples at that period of time, it might have been an apple, that I can eat an apple. And then B, I'm so grateful for, and a lot of times I'd go with Beth. I would go with, I'm grateful that I keep showing up for myself. And then C, what's something with C? And I would keep working through the alphabet. C, comfort. I'm so grateful that I have a comfortable bed to lie down in. And having come back from India and seeing the extremes of poverty, which are, I had worked with the homeless in the U.S. I had been to Mexico City. I'd been to other places in Mexico, but when I saw the level of poverty in India, it was just gut-wrenching. It wasn't even fathomable to me the way people live there until I saw it. And I was very poor when I went to India. I had a scholarship, and I went to study at the yoga ashram there, the Iyengar Yoga Institute. And when I came back, I left with just all of this worry and feeling deprived. And when I came back, I felt so grateful just to have running water, just to have a shower, that it was safe to get a little shower water in my mouth, and to have a bed and a roof and heat. It was the gratitude. I really hung on to that. And so I love the gratitude journal, Carol. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay, well, let's see what else we can get into here. We got some questions coming up. So Kelly asked about PEMF. Some people have done well with it. If you're at all EMF sensitive, I would wait on it. But we do have a PEMF recommendation that we got from Dr. Bill Pollack, who's the top researcher in PEMF, one of the top in the world. And so if you reach out, Kelly, I don't know the model off the top of my head, but if you reach out, then you will, our team will be happy to get you a link for that if you want to check it out. But if EMF sensitive, I would wait. Rosemary asks about the LifeWave patches. There's a lot out there, and I'm having trouble sorting out the marketing hype with the efficacy. But some people have told me they really like them. I've not tried it myself. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm intrigued by it. Joe says a family member finds baking soda helpful for a flare. I do too, and that's one of my top go-tos. And one of the others is called pH Adjust. And so I'll pull that up for you guys in case you've not seen it. But pH Adjust is I'm looking to see if I can get it here for you all. pH Adjust is a really good um, a really good product that's bicarbonate. So those bicarbonates do help. And we'll take a look at that pH Adjust here in a second if I can get that pulled up for you. Let me see. There it is. Let's see if I can get that open. Well, I can't get it open right now, but we'll look at some things here. So let's see what other ideas we had. Deborah says when she's struggling in a flare, she goes into prayer. Praises in good and hard situations as well. Yeah, because sometimes the hard times are when we learn the most, isn't it? And, sometimes people hear my life story, and I've been told by a handful of therapists and a couple of functional medicine physicians that I've had more trauma than about 99% of people. And that's a lot of bad times. But the way I've always phrased it, and we're talking emotional, physical, medical, all of that. The way I look at it, because people have asked me, how did you get through? And a lot of it was not dwelling on it and always looking for what's the next. And like Deborah's talking about, looking at what the lessons were. What did I learn? And my experience with all of these, because I chose I had to make a conscious choice to not be a victim, or make a really hard conscious choice to see that this was not happening to me, that life was what life is, and asking myself, okay, this is what's here. What am I going to do with it? What am I going to do with it? And what I found was when I kept showing up that way, it was like these experiences that were so hard, and my chronic illness, just like you all, was so hard. It hollowed me out. It was like it hollowed out a block of wood into a cup that could hold more love, hold more compassion, hold more understanding. And I think we get one or two choices when you have these chronic illness experiences. We can wallow in it, and I've done my fair share of wallowing. I'm not criticizing wallowing. I've done a lot of it, and I've done a lot of woe is me. But I usually set a limit on it for, I'm going to feel this way. I'm going to let myself feel this way for 3 hours, 2 hours. Now it's 45 minutes. I can bawl my eyes out and be mad at the world. But when that timer goes off, I'm going to get up and I'm going to go do something for myself and take care of myself. And this gratitude, even in the dark times, and the prayers and the praise, even in the hard situations. I love that, Deborah. Thank you for sharing that. Carmel says she does melt. That's a fascia. If you have hypermobility, that might be something after the hypermobility is over. But the melt method's kind of neat, and it can unwind chronic pain if you don't have the hypermobility. You can work with that. Okay, lots of things for prayers. Leslie, I need to get this new schedule straight. Not just the day, but the time too. Yeah, so we've switched, Leslie, so sorry for the confusion. Tuesdays, 1 o'clock Eastern time. So that's 10 Pacific. And Michelle, thoughts on brain tap? I love brain tap, but we've had it be overstimulating for some sensitive people, and I'm seeing really good results in our clinic with the new Calm. So we have a lot of people who still use brain tap, and we have a coupon on that, Michelle, if you're looking for it. Always check our website because there's all kinds of coupons and for you guys, and we really try to get you discounts when we can. But I'm getting more success with the new Calm with sensitive people. So you might want to check it out, Michelle, before you make a decision. We've got a Facebook Live on Brain Tap, and then next week will be new Calm. All right, so many things. Let's get through the rest of these. Creative therapist. Yeah, I find creativity really helpful too. And LifeWave, Miriam said she used them for 4 months and it didn't help. So, and then I've heard a couple people have said it did help. It may depend on your situation. I'm not exactly sure there. And then Susie likes yogi tea, lavender, honey, stress relief tea. And oh, Tulsi Rose. If nobody's seen, there is a Tulsi Rose tea. And then we have a homemade Tulsi Rose tea recipe on the website, which is a lovely thing for self-care as well. And so I'm going to now transition to some of my favorite things and share with you guys. Rachel, it's NUCALM, 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 and we're going to do a whole Facebook Live next week on that, so you can learn more about it if you can join us. And so here are some of my things for the holidays for self-care. Number one, I put myself first. And so if I'm not feeling up to it, I just say, hey, I'm so sorry. It's not going to be, not going to work out, or I'm going to be an hour later. I need more time to take care of myself, or whatever it is. Number two, I don't host anymore. I don't host. Too much stress, too many people, and then you're stuck. And so I choose to not host anymore. Number three, I get in my nervous system work that day, just like so many people talked about. Whatever that practice is, whatever's working for me. And I do a lot of self-love and self-care. And then number five, I'm put down what my needs are. And I remind myself that I'm worthy of asking for my needs. It doesn't mean that somebody's obligated to give it to me, but I'm worthy to ask. And if I'm in a situation where my needs won't be met, I'm worth enough to leave. And so I remind myself of all of that. Other things I do get my supplements in, and I go on to what I call a flare plan. If I'm in a flary situation, then I'm going to definitely do a flare plan. So what's a flare plan? We've got a blog post on it. We've got lots of stuff on it. But the flare plan is where you boost certain supplements. So one of the things I do a lot of is pH adjust. So that's one thing that you can take a look at is pH adjust. And then, and I'll pull some of these up here in a second. So we have a web store now, you guys. I don't know if you know this, but I'll show you some things that we use in the clinic for these kind of flare plans. And then some of the other things, it varies depending on your sensitivity level. So super sensitive people may increase things like some topical homeopathics. You may drink more water. You may, if you're not tolerating supplements, you may have to stick with those topicals, lots of nervous system work. If you're sensitive, but you can take some things, then what you tolerate well, if you know you can take a little bit more, identify what you can take a little bit more of, and you can talk to your practitioner about that. And then if you've got a robust constitution where you can take any supplement that you want, then a lot of supplements you can take extra of. Again, just run that by your health practitioner. You know, you wouldn't double up on something like iodine, or normally wouldn't take a lot of extra chromium or something like that. But as long as you have clearance, and that's a good thing to do, is go into your practitioner and say, hey, can we put together a flare plan for me? And if you're on medications that are mast cell supporting, that can include those medications too. So you may need to be able to increase an antihistamine or something like that, but always run it by somebody who knows your case, and because there's some things you shouldn't increase. So I bump those supplements. Then what I do is I plan wind down time when I get home. So I try not to stay right up to bedtime. Try to leave a couple hours late or early. If it's going late, I just go ahead and leave early, give myself that wind down time and reset my nervous system again. The other thing I do, and this came up for me just last week, is if I'm stuck in a conversation I'm not enjoying, I just excuse myself now. And this kind of came up, and I was somebody that I had made a couple more subtle hints of like, well, I'm going to go check in with my friend now. and wasn't getting it, was just kind of talking at me in a monologue, and it was starting to feel stressful. And I just interjected and said, I'm going to get some pie. I brought a pumpkin pie. Now I can eat pumpkin. And I said, I'm going to get some of my pumpkin pie. And he kept talking, and I just got up and I left. And I got my pie and I went to another part of the house because I wasn't enjoying it. And so I set my boundaries. And I really want to encourage you guys to very gently set your boundaries. I let him keep his dignity. And I think that's the key when we do this with people, is let them keep their dignity. So I could have gotten cranky, but I didn't. That would have made me feel more stressed and wouldn't have helped him. I just said, I'm going to go get my pie. See ya. And I walked away. And I did that in a store one time. That I was in a store, and I knew the woman working behind the counter. I bought a piece of her art a few years ago, and she was 80, and she kept talking at me, and I was overstimulated. And I said, hey, I'm going to go to this end of the store now, and I just want some quiet time to look through things. But it was good to see you. And then she followed me and kept talking to me. And at first I thought, be nice. She's 80, be nice to her. And then something in my mind goes, you know what? That's rude. Because I know she heard me. That's really rude. And she was sucking my energy. And so I just made a turn and kind of dodged her and left and went to a different part of the store. And she was still standing there talking because she wasn't even paying attention to whether or not I wanted a conversation. And she didn't seem to mind. She was fine. So we can give ourselves permission to do these things if we do them kindly. And I think that's the key. So here's some of my top supplement options for self-care during this period of time. Now, of course, you have to determine if these are right for you. I can't tell you they're right for everybody, but I'll tell you what sensitivity level people tend to do well with these. So we have hypersensitive. So people are really struggling to take supplements. We have sensitive. These are people who you can take supplements, but you have to start with sprinkles and go slow, but you can usually get some things onboarded. And then we have robust, and these are people who can start with half to a whole capsule of things. They can take a lot of things. And then we also have, as an addition to that, salicylate intolerance. So if you have salicylate intolerance, you could be hypersensitive to salicylates, but then be able to take non-salicylates at higher amounts. So I'm going to call out also for those of you who know you're salicylate intolerant, which ones are low salicylate. If you don't know and you've not heard that term, don't worry about it. It's about 20% of our community. You can read about it online. If you don't have salicylate intolerance, don't cut those salicylates out. You don't want to limit yourself that way. And they do have health benefits, but some people have to take a break from them. So let's take a look at some of these here. So this is one of my favorites. This is pH Adjust. So pH Adjust, you can see on here. Well, let me show you even how you find the store. You might be interested in that. This is our curated store. I'm very excited about. And if you're here on our website, you're going to click the store menu item right here. So that's our website, maskcell360.com. And if you're not on our email list, make sure you get on our email list. You can do that from the, show you real quick over here. Oh, our menu changed. Christina, could you drop in for people how they get onto our email list, or make me a banner and I'll pump it up there? Because we used to have the way to get there from here, but it's not here anymore. But we'll get that up for you guys in just a second. Oh, here we go. So masscell360.com/sign up. If you're not on our email list, you can sign up there. You get sales and coupon codes, but also you get extra little encouragement. We've got something called 12 Days of Christmas coming up. And starting in December, every day you can get a little encouragement note in your inbox if you would like that. So you just click the store button here, and that's going to take you over there. Now the search, they're still working on. The search is a little glitchy. So for example, if I want to find that isoquercetin that we talk about a lot, it won't come up, but it comes up with quercetin. Well, it did just come up. I swear, you guys. We'll get that worked out here. We'll get that tagging fixed. But you can search by manufacturer here. So for example, if you want to find some of the Beyond Balance products, you can click in there. And that's the only way they come up right now. Or you can go in and you can look at everything by manufacturer. If you want to see Pecana, it's not coming up in the search yet, but if we click this here, then you can see the Pecana products. So what's Pecana? These are homeopathics. And for people that are hypersensitive, I often have them use these topically. A lot of times I'll have them take these ointments. This is Inflammar. It helps reduce inflammation, supports inflammation modulation. And then we'll put one of these drops into here. So Itiris is for drainage, like lymph drainage. Live Calm supports the liver. Cystabil, Somcupin, and Viscum are my 3 favorite combos. Cystabil helps with nervous system dysregulation. Somcupin is supportive for sleep. And then Viscum also, they market it for nausea, but it helps soothe the nervous system as well. It has extra benefits. And then this Renalex is for the kidneys. So these are good to have in your flare kit. A lot of our go-to starter supplements for people who are hypersensitive are the pH Adjust, and then the Cystabil, the Somcupin, and the Viscum here, mixed in this Inflammar ointment and applied topically, like behind the ears, the back of the neck, top of the shoulders, where those nerve endings from the cranial nerves come out. So that's an idea for you for your flare plan. I'm just going to roll through ideas and you see what seems right for you. And then when people onboard this, we start with just a tiny little bead of the Inflammar. If they're really, really sensitive, it'll be like once every 3 days or something like that. Oh, thank you, Deborah. She said, thank you so much for sharing your store. Wanted to know where tell people to get to Pecana. So you have to get an account. Once you sign up for an account, it doesn't cost anything. You just create an account. Then you can access the Pecana products. You won't see them until you make an account. And then you got to go down through that manufacturer until they fix that search that we've been asking them to fix. So let's move on to some other options. So, I didn't finish that. Little drop of Inflammar, make sure your nervous system, your mast cells are feeling calm with all that. Then you would add in, say, a drop of the Cystabil into your ointment, mix it, and put it on topically. Give that a week. If that's going well, layer in the Somcupin, 1 drop with your Cystabil, or you can do them separately. And if that's going well, you can go to the Viscum. So that's one option there for hypersensitive. Another one is this histaminium. This is a homeopathic, and it's one without lactose, and it helps with histamine response. So we have that on the store. And then you can take this as the kind you put under your tongue. What if you can't do anything orally? I've had people dissolve this in just a tiny bit of water, mix it with that Inflammar ointment that we have over here, and put it on topically. So we can do it that way, or you can do it under the tongue. This is really nice for children as well. Then here's that pH Adjust I mentioned. What do I like about it? It has bicarbonates. So it has potassium. So the CO3 means bicarbonate. That's the chemical. K is potassium, H is hydrogen. So it's potassium, hydrogen, bicarbonate. Or sorry, the HCO3 is bicarbonate. Bicarbonate, as probably the sodium bicarbonate, which is called baking soda. And bicarbonates modulate a mechanism that drives inflammation that can trigger mast cells. So for those of you who are practitioners or more advanced lay people, it's modulating sirtuin that trigger inflammasome production. Okay, so Deborah's asking, is pH Adjust better than trisalts? I like it because it's got the potassium, the sodium, and the magnesium. So there's some different trisalt options. Depends on what you need. Now, when people have, when they have low blood pressure, we add salt with this because potassium, you can see there's more potassium than sodium. So we'll usually add about 1/4 teaspoon of salt if blood pressure runs under 110/70, support that blood pressure balance as well. Bicarbonates, you guys, are really good for POTS. Now, if you're hypersensitive, I would start with the tiniest sprinkle and a large thing of water. Oh, can you see my water? And then just sip on it. See how big that is? But if you're just sensitive, you might be able to do start with a sprinkle of that and about 4 ounces of water. If you're not sensitive, then you can typically start with 1/8 to 1/4 teaspoon. So this is one that's a staple in our practice. A lot of people don't know about, but it is similar to those trisalts, Deborah. Now, when we get into the sensitive category, people who can take some things, this is the DAO I formulated. So I do this a lot for holiday meals or higher histamine things or eating out. And anybody in our practice that tolerates DAO typically takes this about 10 to 15 minutes before eating. There's a few DAOs on the market. What's different about this one, I know it's pricey, you guys. We don't set the price on it. The company that makes it sets the price on it. That's DM. And I worked with them for this formula. So that's why my name's on it. But it's what I did with this was add 1 milligram of B6 is the tiniest fairy dusting of B6. And what this does is activates the DAO. Why did I put that in there? Because so many people in our community are nutrient deplete from food sensitivities, and we don't have the B6. So when they take DAO, if you're nutrient deplete in B6, if you take DAO without B6, then it won't do anything, and it's a waste of money. And I was seeing that happen in my community, so that's why I partnered with them to make that. Now, Carol's asking, do we have supplements without magnesium stearate or crystalline cellulose? Yes, there are some in there. So you have to kind of look around. Of course, the tinctures don't have them. And some people, it's not common for us to have people who don't tolerate these, but some people don't. Carol, maybe about 5% of the people I've worked with can't use those. So we just check the other ingredients, and you'll find a good bit in here. Now, the one thing to know, though, is that I had to develop this listing for hypersensitive, sensitive, robust, and children that are hard to get anything in. So there are some gummies and things in there that if you're not a child and you're sensitive, you wouldn't take. So make sure you're reading the ingredients and you know your health. You know what you can take. But this is all curated. I picked every product that's in the store. We use a lot of this. So this is alpha-glycosyl isoquercitrin. That's a mouthful. That product is a form of quercetin. And I'm going to look here, Melissa and Carol, for things that don't have the mag stearate and the cellulose. So I can point those out for you. This one, of course, does have a little bit. But the reason I like this is that this is 18 times more absorbed than typical quercetin, so you don't need as high of amount. And it works well for people with SIBO that have trouble with the phenolics, like quercetin, things that feed those gut bacteria. If you don't have SIBO, regular quercetin can usually work, but I find this is a better tolerated form. So we use this form a lot, and that's in our store. And it's by Integrative Therapeutics. So if you have a hard time pulling it up, just use that manufacturer search. And if you put in Integrative Therapeutics, you're going to see it, and it's going to come up, and there it is right there. So that's the isoquercitrin. That's what I usually call it. I don't say that whole big name. Paramine's one of our staples you guys may know about. Now, here's the thing I want you to know, as we're talking about the store, is we currently have a promo, and it's this ends December 2nd. So it ends, I believe that's Saturday, ends Saturday. And you can get 15% off almost everything in the store. There's just a few, I think it is actually all the supplements. Correct me, Christina, if I'm wrong. But there's some of the modalities like the Resimax, the Picana, Resimax, the Pronon, that isn't 15% off because we would be in the negative if we gave 15% off. So we couldn't do that. But you can get 15% off anything in the store supplement-wise this week. So I'm going to leave that coupon code up for you guys. and you might poke around and just see how that is. Now, this is one of my top choices for people. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm excited sharing this with you guys. Paramine is one of my go-tos as well. I learned about this from Dr. Neil Nathan. And paramine is an extract from a Korean herb or an Asian herb called perilla seed extract. It's used a lot in Korean and Japanese food. But it has luteolin and rosmarinic acid, which stabilize mast cells. And so this is a great formula as well. I really like these for people who are sensitive. They need to start one ingredient at a time. And then for people who are more robust, you can take a number of things. I formulated, this is my formula. This is called MC Stabilizer. And this has, let me see if I can blow this up for you all. So I did about 6 months of research on this formula. And can we make it a little bigger? Let's see. Yeah, I think that might be as good as I can get. So it has an herb called coleus, and it has berberine, bakelin, which is skullcap extract. It has boswellia, PEA, which helps modulate the nervous system, camu for vitamin C, luteolin, and pine bark extract. Now that has that cellulose in it, you guys, but most people, this is that USP version. Most people do really well with that. If you don't, there's other alternatives though, so don't worry. But that's an option for you. And that formula has worked really well for a lot of people as well. So that's my robust formula that I developed. If you would like a lot more information on that, you can actually go to our website. And if you go to mathcell360.com/supplements, then that page is going to give you the product sheet right here. And that product sheet shows all the research that I pulled together. And this has the studies for why each of those work, each of those herbs work. So some people might be interested in that. And I'm going to take that and drop that into the comments for you all. If anybody wants to pull that sheet, and that's up on our store as well. So let me see if we've got any other questions that came in today. And we'll get ourselves wrapped up here. So Cami said, is it true quercetin can be problematic for those with thyroid issues? I have multiple nodules. In high doses, there is a couple papers that indicate it's possible. I don't know that we'll really know, Cami, but if you have thyroid issues and you were one of my clients, my recommendation, let me find the product, would be the alpha glycosyl isoquercitrin, because you get that lower dose option and it gets into the cells better. And so that's way less likely to affect the thyroid. Joe, yes, this would be better for COMT variants, those COMT genetic variants in regular quercetin, because there's fewer phenolic groups. And Deborah, what's your thoughts on pycnogenol? So pycnogenol, this is pine bark extract, you all. I tend to use that for more robust constitutions. The sensitive people tend to have things like pine allergy. Some people have stumbled on it, but it's not usually my starter point for sensitive. So for sensitive, I typically go more with the isoquercitrin, the DAO here, the pH adjust, and then our homeopathics like the histaminium and the, let me go back to it here for you guys, these picanas that we were looking at a minute ago. And we can pull those up with our practitioner search right there. Well, I thought I was going to have it pulled up for you. I had it a second ago, but you guys saw the picana. There it goes. I just didn't click on it right. These picanas typically more for sensitive people. All right, everybody. So lovely to be with you. Let's grab this last question from Rosemary, which is what about resveratrol? Sometimes I will bring that in, Rosemary, kind of like a stage 3. So I do like resveratrol. We have a good one here. So with resveratrol, you want to have resver. Let me see if I can find that for you. But am I spelling it wrong? You know, we got to get this search fixed for everybody because we're having trouble getting things pulled up. But so vital nutrients makes a resveratrol that we have here. So we may have to go in this way. We're going to get this fixed this week, you all. They have a resveratrol. There it is. So resveratrol, and this is trans resveratrol. And so that's the form you want to use if you're going to use resveratrol. And then sensitive people want to start with a sprinkle there and then build up slowly. But we do use from resveratrol. I really like it. It modulates a mechanism called SIRT2. It's also very anti-aging. That's usually going to be like a stage 3 for me. If there's SIBO or salicylate intolerance, I don't use that. So with salicylate intolerance, we go with the DAO, the pH adjust, the homeopathics. Now, for those of you that had the trouble with the cellulose and the magnesium stearate, like the pH adjust does not have those. The picanas, the histaminium doesn't have those. So those are some of the things to take a look at for you all. And you will find some things in there that don't have those. All right, everyone. It's so good to be with you. Reminder again, 15% off supplements this week. And that's our holiday gift to you all. I hope you have a lovely rest of your week. And I'm going to see you next Tuesday, 1 o'clock Eastern, and we're going to talk about the new Calm app that's really making a big difference, calming down people. Here's my little preview. I had a client, the way I learned about this was I had a client who was so extremely sensitive. She wasn't tolerating hardly anything. She was struggling with brain fog, severe fatigue, really bad gut issues. And she started using the new Calm, and she built herself up over time. She was really dedicated, and she did 2 hours a day. And 2 months later, she came back in a changed person. I was so amazed. Now, she was already out of mold. She had done that level, but she got me looking into it. And then I had another client came in, similar story, said, I've been trying this new Calm app. I'm so amazed at how much better I'm feeling because it's calming down my nervous system. The more my nervous system calms, my mast cells calm. So then I tried it for 6 months, you guys, because I try things out for a good bit, make sure that I like it, make sure that it seems to be working. We had other clients try it, testing it out. I've really liked what we're seeing with it. And so I can't wait to share it with you next week. And in the meantime, if you have any trouble at all with the store, any trouble at all finding a product you're looking for or using the coupon code, just reach out to our team. Email us. You can reach us through Facebook Messenger, through the Massel 360 page. Don't go through my personal page, please, because I don't read the messages. There's too much that comes at me. But if you go through the Massel 360 Facebook page, you need help there, or just email us and we'll get that help out to you guys. All right, take care. I'll see you next week.